Hello, everyone. So I took a vacation, about a week off. Did a full news detox. Then came back about a week ago. And started getting caught back up, and it's pretty much just the same thing kept happening. Or the same things kept happening while I was gone. No real big change. Same fights are still being fought. The only big news is I came home just as the start of the government shutdown, so I'll probably do that next week. This week I decided to do a video that I've been promising you, one on gun control. So gun violence has been in the news a lot lately. There was the shooting at the church in Minneapolis about 2 months. Another shooting at a church in Michigan that killed 4 people. The 16-year-old that shot up his class in Denver, which killed 2 people. Yet another 2 people were killed in a recent shooting in Montgomery, Alabama. And the list goes on and on. The United States has a population of 340 million people. Meanwhile, our neighbor to the north, Canada, has a population of just 41 million people. So a little bit more than a tenth of our population. Canada has had 3 mass shootings this year, with a total of 5 people killed. Now, if that ratio is consistent, we should have 10 times as many shootings. But we actually have had over 100 times as many shootings. There are 341 reported mass shootings through the end of September, more than one a day, with 331 people dead and 1,493 wounded. Now, both Canada and the U.S. have the right to bear arms. So why is there such a big difference in gun violence? Is it because Canada has a national health care and thus the people are less stressed and happier? Or is it because they have a higher literacy rate and know how to solve their problems without violence? Who can say? Part of the problem, I believe, is our gun culture and the NRA. As I mentioned in my book, Pixley for President 2028, there are some common sense gun reforms. 84% of gun owners surveyed in 2013 were in favor of universal background checks. Current federal law requires only licensed firearm dealers to do background checks. This accounts for only 78% of gun sales. That means that almost a quarter of gun sales do not require background checks. 16 million guns were sold in 2024, which was actually a decrease from 2023. So I'm sure you can do the math. Now, a few states have issued their own laws requiring universal background checks within their states. So that does lower the percentage of guns sold without background checks. Another problem is the lack of education. A 13-year-old in Washington State was arrested last month. He was in possession of 23 guns, including assault rifles, several boxes of ammunition, and various pictures and writings of mass shooters. Many of the guns have no serial numbers, and some appear to be 3D printed. The latest article I could find says the police were still investigating where the child got the guns. In Washington State, the law says that parents need to keep their guns secured out of reach of children. Now, the parents have been questioned by the police about it, but no report says, what they said. In a case a few years ago, the police had picked up a mentally unwell man for breaking and entering. They confiscated all of his guns and turned them over to the man's father. After they released the man The father gave all the guns back to his son, despite having been told by the sheriff not to. The next day, the son shot up a restaurant and killed multiple people. The father was then put on trial for giving him back the guns. Now, some people get permits for firearms, but don't actually know the laws. I think we need to do better training for people who want guns so they know the laws. The National Rifle Association potentially has some blame. Whenever politicians start discussing gun control laws, they show up and then the politicians change their tune. During Trump's first term, he had said he would push for universal background checks. And then the NRA showed up at the White House with a briefcase full of money. Why does the NRA want to protect mass shooters? There's a lot more that I want to say on this, but I don't want them suing me for slander, so I'll move on. As you can see, there are a lot of problems that contribute to our pandemic of gun violence. But what can we do about it? First and foremost, we could push for universal background checks. This would make it harder for criminals to purchase weapons. It would not stop them, but it would make it harder. Second thing we could do is pass the Raise the Age Act. It is a bill that was presented to Congress to raise the age required to purchase semi-automatic weapons to the same age you need to buy alcohol and cigarettes, 21 years old. Third, I'm in favor of an assault rifle ban. I believe in the right to bear arms, but I do not think that everyone needs military-grade firearms. Why would anyone need one unless they're planning a mass shooting or a revolution? Both of those things I am against. A recent study showed that an assault rifle ban would have prevented about 38 mass shootings this year. Another bill that caught my eye was the Firearm Risk Protection Act. Now, this bill requires liability insurance for all firearm owners. That way, if a gun is used in a mass shooting, the insurance pays the medical bills for the wounded and then raises the premium on the gun owner. By attacking people's wallets, they might keep better track of their guns, and they might just avoid doing mass shootings. I've also had my own idea for an ammunition tax. That's still a rough idea. I would like to discuss it with some experts and officials before presenting it to Congress. But the idea is to add an extra 5% tax on top of the normal sales tax on bullets. Perhaps if bullets were more expensive, it would be a little harder for people to buy enough to do a mass shooting. Now, none of this would prevent all mass shootings. Now, really, there's no way to stop all of them. But this would be a step in the right direction. Universal background checks would stop criminals from purchasing weapons legally. The assault weapon ban would stop shooters from having military-grade equipment. The Firearms Risk Protection Act might make people think a little more carefully about the number of guns they own and how they store them. My ammunition tax might make it a little bit more expensive to buy the bullets you need for a mass shooting. And perhaps all of these little speed bumps would cut down on the number of mass shootings we have. In addition, by improving our education and healthcare systems, we could stop shootings before they start. By teaching people the signs to get help for someone, by teaching people how to solve their problems without violence, by giving people access to the mental health care that they need. Also, I would push to prosecute people that give underage shooters their firearms, like the case in Washington. Now, how does a child get 23 guns without anyone noticing? I'd also want to give the ATF the authority to do inventory checks on gun shops so that we can find people selling guns under the table to criminals. I just want this country to be a safer place than when I took office. And except for potentially the NRA, I'm not sure anyone would really disagree with that sentiment. So please go to Amazon, pick up my book, Pixley for President. It's $9.99. The second edition has been out for a couple weeks with some updates on current events. Please follow me on my social medias. They are in the account information somewhere. Like and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. And please vote for me in November 2028. Have a good day.